The show is about a group of friends who go on a hiking trip. Two of them are neighbors who love to brag about their successful children, Choi Sung-hyo, a famous architect, and Ba Seok-ryu, who works at a big company in the US, making a lot of money. As they argue about whose child is more successful, Sung-hyo wins an award as a co-founder of an architecture firm, while Ba Seok-ryu unexpectedly returns to Korea with rumors about her upcoming marriage. Seok-ryu's childhood friend, Jung Mo-yeon, the daughter of one of her mom's friends, picks her up from the airport. They talk about old times while eating tteokbokki. We start to notice something is off when Seok-ryu hides from her brother, suggesting her sudden return might not be as simple as it seems. Since Mo-yeon, who works as a paramedic, has to leave early, Seok-ryu meets another childhood friend, Sung-hyo, whom she calls her mom's friend's son. You'd think they would be excited to see each other after a long time, but Sung-hyo and Seok-ryu aren't as happy to reunite as you might expect. "What are you doing here?" is the first thing Sung-hyo says to Seok-ryu. After some arguing about Seok-ryu standing on Sung-hyo's land, Seok-ryu ends up hiding in a large packing box when her mom and her friends come back from their hike. After some begging, Sung-hyo helps Seok-ryu avoid getting in trouble with her mom. She then sneaks into Sung-hyo's new office building and almost damages a piece of metal that Sung-hyo says is worth $1 million and is an artifact. We also learn that when they were kids, Seok-ryu often accidentally hurt Sung-hyo, like the scar on his back from when she accidentally pushed him into barbed wire. In another part of the story, Mo-yeon rushes to an emergency and tries to deal with a difficult homeless man. Here, she meets Kang Dan-ho, who later turns out to be a writer looking for heartwarming stories about everyday people. At the same time, Sung-hyo and Seok-ryu head back to their house. Seok-ryu gets ready for trouble by putting on several layers of clothes to protect herself from her strict mother, knowing she is in for a scolding. However, Seok-ryu didn't expect her parents, along with Sung-hyo, to overhear her telling Sung-hyo that she broke off her engagement. Things get chaotic when her mom charges at her with a bunch of leaks in a funny slapstick scene. It turns out that Seok-ryu not only called off her wedding, but also quit her job and moved back home for good. As her mom is hitting her with leaks and her dad dramatically faints, Sung-hyo and Seok-ryu manage to run away and sit in a park until things calm down. And for the record, her layers of clothing did protect her from her mom's leak attacks. Seok-ryu opens up to Sung-hyo about feeling overwhelmed by moving to a new country, starting a new job, and planning a wedding all at once. "Going full speed all the time overloaded my brain. It was like my computer screen went blank and the keyboard stopped working, so I had to reset myself," she explains to Sung-hyo. They head back home after Sung-hyo gets a call from Seok-ryu's brother, and her mom promises not to hit her again in the typical strict mom way. But that promise turns out to be a trick, and more chaos breaks out when Seok-ryu gets stuck inside the house, thanks to Sung-hyo's playful antics. In the final scene, we see a young Seok-ryu standing up to bullies to protect a young Sung-hyo. "Now that she's back, things are going to get messy again," Sung-hyo adds. We then see a flashback where Seok-ryu persuades Sung-hyo to help her with her part-time job cleaning barbecue grills at a restaurant. She uses the money she earns to buy glow-in-the-dark star stickers for her room ceiling and a gold brooch for her mother. Then she wakes up in a storage room that was once her bedroom. Her mom stays angry, even refusing to give her breakfast when Sung-hyo and Mo-yeon, her friends, come by to check on her. In a flashback to the night before, Seok-ryu doesn't tell her parents the real reason she came back, despite their efforts to get the truth out of her. This is why her mom is so upset, and she shows her anger by drumming whenever she's frustrated and feels like hitting something. Later, Seok-ryu brings rice cakes to Sung-hyo's new office. His coworkers are curious about their childhood, and Seok-ryu talks about how she helped Sung-hyo when he first came to Korea from France and didn't speak Korean. But the nice story she tells is quickly ruined by Sung-hyo, who says she was not only dirty as a kid, but also didn't respect his privacy, peeking at him in the bathroom and making him it in the games they played. Meanwhile, because of Seok-ryu's mother, Mi-suk, who shows her anger in public, The whole neighborhood now believes that Sikryu was fired from her job and cheated on her fiancé. Maisuk complains about this to Moan's mother, Jae-suk, and hears that their high school class reunion will be at Sung-hyo's office building during its grand opening. At the same time, Sikryu is enjoying doing nothing at all, which annoys her mother. The next day, her mom tries to call Sikryu's ex-fiancé, but Sikryu deletes his number from her phone. Elsewhere, Sung-hyo's company is facing problems even before they start their projects because of delayed payments and not having enough clients. They meet with Dan-ho, who interviews them about their new business. At the same time, Sikryu spends her days riding buses endlessly. Here we find out that she not only lost her job and faced racism at work, but her fiancé also cheated on her when she needed him most. In the end, she decides to buy a pomegranate tree as a gift for Sung-hyo's grand opening. The next day, things between Maisuk and Sikryu seem calmer as Maisuk gets ready to attend the grand opening. However, she doesn't want Sikryu to go because she's embarrassed by her situation. At the grand opening, Maisuk becomes the target of jokes about her daughter's unlikely comeback, despite all her bragging. We also learn that Maisuk was smart enough to go to university, but she couldn't afford it because she was poor, so she gets all her pride from Sikryu's achievements. Maisuk feels uncomfortable around her high school friends, but then Sikryu shows up to give her mom the brooch she forgot. Unfortunately, Maisuk's friends also see Sikryu, and Maisuk ends up lying to them, saying Sikryu is leaving for the US soon because she got an offer from another big company. Sung-hyo watches all of this from a distance. Back at home, Sikryu and Maisuk have a big argument when Maisuk tries to force Sikryu to return to the US. Sikryu tries to explain her struggles to Maisuk, but she doesn't listen. Finally, Sikryu leaves the house, with Sung-hyo following her, as he overheard their heated argument. Sung-hyo stays with Sikryu at the park while she tries to hide her feelings, thinking back to their childhood. Eventually, she breaks down and cries, and Sung-hyo quietly stays by her side. The next day, Sikryu is out all day, but when she comes back, she finds that the storeroom has been changed to look exactly like her old room. Maisuk had asked Sung-hyo to help redesign the room from scratch. He even got glow-in-the-dark stars for her ceiling. Sikryu soon learns that Sung-hyo has also moved back into his old room in his house, which is right across from hers. In a flashback, we see Sikryu and Sung-hyo sharing a close moment when they accidentally trip and fall on the bed while putting up the glow-in-the-dark stickers. Later, we see a flashback to Sung-hyo and Sikryu's past. Sung-hyo is in a swimming competition, but neither of his parents can attend because his mom is a diplomat and his dad is a doctor. With no one else there for him, Sikryu is in the crowd, cheering like crazy for him. This scene shows how close Sung-hyo and Sikryu are, even though they often argue. Sung-hyo ends up winning the race. The next day, we see that something seems off with Sung-hyo's family. At work, Sung-hyo hears about a new client who wants to build a luxury retirement home for wealthy people. But Sung-hyo is more interested in a design competition to build the gym at his old school where he used to swim. Meanwhile, as the saying goes, old habits die hard. Sikryu literally makes a schedule for herself as an unemployed person, which includes playing games, daydreaming, watching TV, taking naps, and so on. Later, she asks Sung-hyo to read a comic with her, but he amusingly turns her down. Later, Sung-hyo and Moan do spend time with Sikryu at the bookstore before going to their jobs, while Sikryu thinks about what to do next in her free time from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. The next day, she accidentally runs into her old homeroom teacher, who is now the principal of their school. While helping her carry a delivery from her parents' restaurant, they see Sung-hyo, who is at the gym for the design competition. When her teacher mentions her old job, Sikryu doesn't deny working there, and somehow ends up giving a special talk to the students as a former student. During the talk, one of the students asks about her childhood dream, and she realizes she doesn't remember what it was. After the lecture, Sung-hyo convinces her to help him dig up the time capsule where the three friends had buried letters to themselves to read 10 years later. However, they can't find it, and Seung-hyo heads home. On her way to the hospital in an ambulance, Moon sees a man helping to clear the traffic and tells her coworkers that he's her ideal type. The man is actually reporter Dan-ho, but she doesn't know this. Seung-hyo and his co-founder, Ma-young-woo, have a meeting with a potential client, but Seung-hyo doesn't want to work with them because they want him to copy architectural designs. This causes a fight between the two founders about the future of their company. Meanwhile, Seok-ryu meets with a potential employer who is eager to hire her. Seung-hyo sees this and tells Seok-ryu to follow her dreams, asking if she really wants to go back to a job she didn't enjoy. Seok-ryu replies that having a job you love is a luxury. They end up arguing about this. Sigh. In a flashback, we learn that Seung-hyo was in a car accident that ruined his chances of competing in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, forcing him to give up his dream of becoming an athlete. The next day, with the help of one of Seung-hyo's employees, he and Ma-young-woo make up. Meanwhile, Seok-ryu is thinking about what direction she wants to take in her life. To figure out what her dream was, Seok-ryu tries to dig up the time capsule again, but she can't find it. Her teacher runs into her, and Seok-ryu admits that she quit her job. Her teacher is understanding and tells her to follow her own path. As Seok-ryu is leaving, she runs into Seung-hyo at the gym and discovers he has already found the time capsule. He teases her about the letter she wrote to herself when she was a teenager. Seung-hyo then jumps into the pool, saying it's been a long time since his accident that kept him out of the water. After some encouragement, Seok-ryu jumps in too and almost drowns, but Seung-hyo helps her. In a flashback, we see Seok-ryu trying to cheer up a sad and heartbroken Seung-hyo after his accident. Back in the present, they talk about their life problems and discover through the time capsule letters that Seung-hyo has had feelings for Seok-ryu since high school.